2 trillion. This is part of closing that gap, is lessening the responsibility. It's not punitive.
Okay, first off, he starts off by...
What's going on, you guys? Today we have Sam Seder calling out Fox News host Brian Kilmeade. He really destroys him. Brian Kilmeade is lying to the audience. He's having a hard time discussing Trump's policies. Sam Seder sees it, calls it out. Let's get into it.
Friends this morning, and they're all like running cover now for this, because there are people at town halls going in going like, hey man, what's going on here? Now, let's be clear. The people who are showing up, they voted for Trump. That IRS agent, he voted for Trump. That doesn't mean that they were necessarily MAGA. He said that, well, I thought this guy was a business guy and I thought he would come in and do things efficiently. I mean, this sort of mythology around Donald Trump. He's a business guy. He's going to do things efficiently. I didn't think he would just willy-nilly cut things. Well, here's the thing, is that like we are uneducated as a country as to what it means to be a billionaire. It means, A, they don't pay taxes. Everything they do is structured to avoid paying taxes. His Trump Foundation is structured to avoid paying taxes. They don't care about the IRS. Inefficiency? Trump just ordered $200 million, I think it was, to DHS to make videos thanking him for stopping immigrants from coming into the country. That doesn't seem to be terribly efficient. But now that when they see the implications of what happens when you cut willy-nilly, and we haven't even seen the implications of it. We're just seeing the first round of like the direct implications on workers. We haven't even seen the knock-on effects. And hopefully Democratic politicians and others will draw the connection between you fire someone at the USDA and SNAP benefits are late. You fire somebody at the USDA and, hey, wait a second. Why are we having problems with our food supply? You fire someone at the USDA and maybe like, how did this bird flu get so out of hand? But in the meantime, what they're doing is they're just bailing water and they're having to lie. And like I say, that's a good sign. They've run out of actual, like, there's no ideology here. MAGA just loves Donald Trump.
And right, I've said this before as far as, USAID, these people that are going into the government and changing all these policies to fit more of Trump's agenda and, to please him, it doesn't really serve an empire as far as like wanting to run the country as an actual country, as, a superpower of the world, which we are, and we're dying now as the superpower. It's not starting to work, and it hasn't been working for a while. But now, he's taking out these programs such as USAID, and this isn't even, conservative or liberal. It's not a good move in general. USAID, it wasn't necessarily benevolent. It wasn't for the greater good. It was so that U.S. could have power over everyone. And as you're taking over the soft power, and as you're taking out the soft power, it's going to start to change a little bit. Other people are swooping in, and other people are going to build better reputations as far as not the U.S. spreading its propaganda all over.
There are people who voted for Donald Trump because they thought they were getting something slightly different. An efficient businessman, or getting rid of all the wokeism. And people wake up and they're like, is the wokeism gone yet? It is? How come it's raining? Like, isn't this supposed to affect the weather?
And almost every agency wants them to come in. So go ahead and gut Treasury. Because you know what helps? Because Cabinet Secretary's got certain responsibilities, and the president's got to get elected, and people. But when you have someone from the outside come in and make some tough cuts, you could say, I don't have my hands in that. The blowback they're getting in some of these town halls is real. I'm sure there's some people in there that voted for Trump and said, I walked into work and I lost my job. But that's going to be one of the casualties of having to take a $2.7 million federal workforce and knock it down to maybe half of that. So I think we got a heads up on it. As I think the president would do himself a favor, and the Treasury Secretary especially, just saying, hey, We have a $7 trillion budget. We only make $5.9 trillion. The revenue gap is $2 trillion. This is part of closing that gap, is lessening the responsibility. It's not punitive.
Okay, first off, he starts off by saying, well, at least we can bring in Musk and pretend like it's his fault. We can bring in a consultant. And this, again, also, Democrats should be out there, get rid of the word MAGA. There's no MAGA Republicans. There's Republicans. Donald Trump is a Republican president. Musk is working for a Republican administration. This is what Republicans do. This is 15 years ago. I sat on a stage. I got invited to that Aspen Idea Festival or something once in my life with Janine. And it was some game show or talk show that we were supposed to do. That's sort of supposed to be somewhat fun. And so they had us interview Grover Norquist, and it was supposed to be fun. And Grover Norquist was the head of an...
And Sam Seder is calling out the Fox host for, getting lost in the trees for the forest. The whole point of it is that we're losing jobs, but who else is coming in to fill these roles? Because Trump is going to sit here and say, oh, we're here to take out the deep state. And that was his whole shtick, is that, okay, look, everyone, and this is everyone, not just Republicans or liberals, but everyone, the government is failing you. It is a corrupt government. I am here to drain the swamps. I am here to bring back God's country. And then as far as that goes, he's going to say, oh, he's taking out the deep state. And he's not taking out the deep state. He is taking out all of these things that are here to get in his way so that this government now can serve him. And people are starting to buy into it. We have people who are Republican or Democrat or whatever, and they believe in Donald Trump. They don't believe in this government anymore. They believe in one man who is becoming our dictator.
Organization, I don't even know if it exists anymore. Taxpayers for America, fairness, bullshit, whatever it was. And they were the prototype Tea Party. It was Americans for Tax Reform, and they ran Toomey, I think it was, in Philadelphia, who we now think of as like, oh, he's an old-style Republican. No, he was a lunatic. And I remember interviewing, and maybe this was in like 2010, because I feel like I talked about it on this show. We're talking to Grover Norquist, and we're trying to keep it light because it's supposed to be fun. And he immediately launches in about federal workers and all the benefits they get and how unfair that is for other workers. And I was like, well, maybe we should give those to other workers. And their project to demonize federal workers was in full swing 15 years ago, and probably before then. The idea, I mean, you go back to, what was it, 2008, where, they're talking about, maybe before this, cutting the Department of Education, getting rid of government agencies, getting rid of the IRS, cutting federal workers. Clinton capitulated to it by setting up a committee, and it took, of course, they studied it for 8 months and ended up cutting, I don't know, a small percentage of the workforce. But they studied it at least. But it was garbage then too. Our federal workforce, relative to our population, has been static for 40 years. If they're concerned about the deficit or the debt, then why are they going to promote a $4.5 trillion tax cut? Why would you cut revenue?
And again, we have Sam Seder who's calling it out, that this is something that almost seems like it might have been planned, as far as, all of these different programs getting called out from the very beginning, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago even. And it's getting called out, and you have somebody who comes in, says that all of these things are terrible, says that all these things are, on a grand stage, just calling it out, saying that this is all corrupt. These programs aren't doing anything for you, but maybe I can do something for you. Maybe I can really change the way it's going on. And then now it's been swooped up underneath the working class people. Now we're having to pay for it. We're paying about $8 for simple groceries. while the rich are consistently, we have Elon Musk getting richer, we have Jeff Bezos getting richer, we now have no one as far as working class people benefiting from this movement.
If you're concerned about this, because they're not. They're not concerned about the
And
deficit.
all the people they represent
They're not concerned about the debt.
have so much money. Like it's so absurd.
They don't care about those things. They don't. They're gonna try and vote on a bill tomorrow, I think, that's gonna cut like $800 billion of Medicaid, among other things. And Trump gives away the game. Well, we're not going to touch Medicaid, except for all the illegal immigrants that are taking Medicaid, and all the DEI and wokeness and transgender stuff. And that's going to be $800 billion.
So there we have it, you guys. We have Sam Seder, who's really tired of it, and in all honesty, same. We have those that will find relief in worshiping Trump, worshiping MAGA, and continuing to say, oh, he's really saving us. He really is. I mean, it's hard to turn a country around in just a few months, and then they're not even really seeing what's actually going down. And then you have the people that are worried for their lives in the next however long it takes. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.